Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Between Two Hats with Patrick, Osman, and Phillip Burton. Today, we are blessed with another guest, an absolute champion from the property management industry. We're excited to welcome Darren from Portico Property Management to the podcast. Darren, welcome to the podcast, buddy. What's going on, man? You doing good?
Good to be here. I appreciate you guys having me. And also, Patrick, you have a great voice always.
It's insane.
But it steps up. When camera comes on, I noticed it got a little more radio friendly. It's very sexy.
Buddy, we get a bit funky when the cameras go live over here. And today, before we go into the details of my beautiful Australian accent, I want to dive into and get the camera focused on you. So obviously, you bring a wealth of experience from the property management world, leading one of the world's most trusted teams. I don't know if it's the world's most trusted teams. It's definitely America's most trusted teams. But Portico, you guys are a huge company. I know it was started by yourself. Today, we're going to go into the fine details of the ins and outs of your operation, whatever you're willing to share anyway.
Yeah.
But outside of that, man, it's a pleasure to have you here, dude. We're so excited to learn more about you. I know that Phil connected you and I. We connected at one point in Nashville.
Yeah.
And you were just this ball of fire, bro. Phil, you, me, one room. Let's go.
Right. It's silly because Darren, I will say this as a friend now, right? Because we're buddies. You when you first meet you're kind of reserved. You keep it kind of quiet, you know.
He's so reserved.
You keep the 6-shooters, holstered.
He's so reserved.
And once you get to know you, man, it's coming out, and
Look out.
you better be on your toes. I mean, obviously with the shot behind you with all those books that I guarantee you've read all of them, and I'm not joking. Usually somebody would have that in their background, and I would say, go pick a book out of there, and I'll bet you $1 million you haven't read it. I bet you've read every single one of those. And so for me as a friend and somebody who's known you really well and he knows your business as well, you come prepared for, you come with a gun to a knife fight because you're always the guy that knows his stuff. And man, I appreciate that in you so much. Even being on the other end of it sometimes where I'm, feeling like a dust up and I say, let's go, let's argue a little bit about something. And I'm like, man, I'm outmatched, brother. But
Very kind of you to say. I don't know about that. I really put these up here to look smart. I hope it's working.
right.
I've probably read one of them. There's some whiskey up there. That's the important part.
That's the good stuff.
As we stay in banter before we dive in, 1, thank you. 2, congrats on being pretty much the last people in America besides me to have a podcast. Congrats on getting this going. I feel like everybody has a podcast. I like that yours is unique, so I like what you're doing. I will tell you, just full disclosure, I get asked on a lot of podcasts, not because I'm a good guest, but because there's so many goddamn podcasts. They need content. And I don't do them because they annoy me. My marketing team always says, Darren, we need you to do this. It's good for the company. Get out there, do this. But I never do them.
You're a brand.
And finally, I said, I'm doing this one. And they looked it up and they said, please don't do this one. Like you're the only podcast my marketing team's like, please don't. And I said,
so
why?
good.
I said, why? And they
Anything
said,
but this one.
Darren, where do you want us to start? A number of reasons. Just look at them. I'm like, I think they're rather handsome. 2, they have like 12 followers. I said, they just got started. Calm down.
And it's all family.
3, they're like, we know you and we've seen them and we're very worried you're going to say something very stupid that's going to go to viral. And I immediately said, well, then I'm in. Let's
Line me up. Yeah.
Guys, I was warned, but I dove right in.
God, that's so funny.
And
I guarantee that's a true story. If as you're listening, that is not a made up story. His team's like, whoa, please. There's probably 5 people standing behind his camera about ready to pull him off as soon as we get going.
I told him it was next week. Don't worry. We'll slide this in.
So I'm going to share this with you as we get into it because I don't think there's a better time. And I shared a little of the highlight with Darren, but so last week I get on with Pat and we hadn't filmed for a little bit and we're just like, we got to get together. We didn't have a guest. We had a couple of guests that canceled. And so it just kind of pushed us off with the holiday. Cause there's a huge waiting list, guys. There's a huge waiting list to get on, of course. But, he and I just decided to, film him and I chatting and he was fired up. I could tell, 20.
I was pissed last week.
Oh, he was on it. 20 something minutes in, he looks at me and he just asked me like the kiss of death question, goes, what do you feel about blah? And I'm like, Oh my God. All right, here we go. You're trying to get me fired
Wait.
because unlike the two of you, I don't own the company I work for right now. I'm working on it. You never
Not
know. We'll
yet.
see someday. David Stoffel, if you're listening, someday. Um, and I go, whoa, okay, here we go. We're in it. So I answer the question. And just as I'm answering that one, he comes in with the next follow-up, which is the next hand grenade he hands me with no pin. I'm like, wow, here we go. And then he follows up with a third one, which is the holy trinity of you're going to be out of a job after we air this.
Wow.
And but we let it rip, man. And it was the first time that we filmed something that after I called him up, I said, so are are we going to really release that? How's it going? And we kind of laughed. And I think our strategy is on it. We're going to send it to somebody like you or some of the other folks that we trust and say, what do you think? Because I loved it, but it was,
No, look,
we buried
Phil.
ourselves on that one.
Okay, no, the shame in today's society is that sharing your political view is frowned upon.
Right.
Like, why, dude? Why?
I
If
agree.
you believe a certain thing, Darren, if you believe a certain thing, if I believe a certain thing, we can all believe a certain thing and still be friends. And as a matter of fact, you two are walking proof of that,
Yeah.
which I really admire. As a matter of fact, I am diving into that today because that can help coach America to have mature conversations and still maintain a level of respect for each other. You know what I mean?
Well, I love it. And look, guys, part of what makes you successful in life and on this podcast is authenticity. That's a big,
That's it.
it's a
We
big
talk about
buzzword for me because I believe in it. And you guys are very authentic. So I don't know what grenades he was thrown at you, but if you release it, I'm
I
excited.
asked him his perspective on immigration, transgenders, and why Republican. They were the
Yeah.
three grenades.
Why did you not throw up the Epstein files? I mean, come on, you
Yeah,
were on a
well,
roll.
that's what I was afraid
roll.
was next. He goes, by the way, here's your name. You're number 5. You were
You're
on the
number
list.
5. He's like, yeah, I never said I wasn't.
Well,
You guys are fine. I'm glad we're doing this on a Friday.
yeah, exactly. Where's the tequila? I might have to start drinking again. Yeah, thanks, Pat. You're gonna get me back to the bottle. All right, brother.
I'm enjoying this one so far.
This is so good. Truth is, to your point, and I love this. And Darren, at some point, I want you to share our story of how we met, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, no problem.
Because I think it's beautiful to this point. I don't even know if Pat knows it.
He does. We
He
told
might.
him. I
Yeah,
think,
that's
in
right. We talked
Nashville.
about it at dinner, didn't we?
Yep.
I agree with what you said, brother, on there shouldn't be anything that we can discuss with people as long as you do it respectfully that should create any kind of dissension or hatred or, oh, hey, I can't work with you, or your company and my company can't work together because we don't have the same views. As long as you approach a conversation, and this is what I've said to anyone that wants to talk about politics or religion or anything personal, right? I'm not sharing with you how I feel because I'm trying to convince you to think the way I do. I'm doing it to open up a conversation for you to share with me what you think, because I might learn something. And Darren, you're the perfect example for me on this in my personal life of somebody that I respect. We probably have differing viewpoints on some of the stuff, and you've opened my eyes to a lot of stuff, and I look at things differently now. I explore them more deeply than just taking them on face value. If we're just talking politics, I'm going to dig into the issue to make sure I understand it before I just take a right-leaning view or Republican view, because I'm a Republican. And it's because of conversations like this. You and I haven't open conversations when we first met to get me to that place. So,
I love diving into this with you guys, and I'm gonna follow your guys' lead. But I do have a quick thought on this. I think that what I've learned over the last few years, and by the way, I had to do some evolving myself. Right? You gotta sanity check yourself sometimes and be like, gotta have these beliefs, but then you gotta kind of step back and go, do I, and have they evolved, and where am I at? And I think one of the challenges we're in America right now is we do identify as Republican or Democrat with a capital R on my chest or D.
that's it.
And that's not everything that we are. And in fact, what I've been trying to tell my friends is to say, listen, do you agree with 100% of what anybody says? Is there anybody in your life that you are 100%
Right.
copacetic? We've never disagreed. Do you guys have somebody like that? I don't.
Just my wife, because I know how to live a sane and happy existence at home.
Yeah,
but
you just
other
say
than
yes,
that,
honey. It's very
yeah.
smart.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. That makes total sense.
Being divorced, I would say keep doing that, doing whatever you're working. So I think what's happened is we're a tribal nation, we're a tribal people, and we have these tribes. And once we've identified as I am X, then it's very difficult to see nuance. And I'm pushing people, there's a lot of nuance in the world. So I've done a lot of work on myself the last 5, 6 years is I'm not a capital R or capital D. I'm like, look, these parties are evolving. They don't wake up every day worried about us. They're worried about lots of things themselves, keeping in power. And so instead of, I've really tried to train myself. I'm not perfect. When I hear an idea from either party, I used to have this knee-jerk reaction to either be supportive or against it. And I
Yeah.
caught myself doing that a few times. I'd go, "Oh, that's stupid." And I hadn't even heard the
Well,
argument.
you don't even listen to it because of
Correct.
even because of who it's coming from too.
Correct. And
Yeah,
so
like, oh,
when
You're
I
that's
did
closed
that,
off
I
to
was
it
like,
this
by
person said
default.
that I can't.
Yeah.
It's hogwash.
Like, what am I doing? I've stopped listening as soon as I kind of heard what if it was on Fox News or MSNBC, and that's just dangerous. And so what I've tried to do now is go, all right, let me listen to it. Let me think about it based on what I know. And I do this trick now, and it works really well. I try to imagine the other side saying it. If it's something I'm mad at, I go,
Oh, I like
okay,
that.
if this other person said it, would I still feel this way? And guys, I got to tell you, it has identified a lot of hypocritical bullshit that in
Yeah.
my own life where I
Yeah.
go, well, wait a minute. I'm mad because that person's saying it. If my guy was saying it, I'd be like, yeah, I get it.
You'd be okay.
And I just won't do that anymore. And so what I'm asking, this is my PSA for everybody, is let's quit saying, gosh, I'm a Republican or a Democrat. Let's say, hey, I identify with a lot of things in this party, but these parties are huge and they're moving and they change and they evolve. And I'm a human being. I'm going to do that too. And my guess is even you feel there's got to be 20, 30% of stuff that you're like, that's probably not for me on that ticket. And I'm going to find a different path. And so we've got to hold ourselves accountable. And I was being a hypocrite and I didn't
Yeah.
like it. And I'm not over it. It's kind of like, you're addicted to something. It's not like I check a box. Guys, I'm not a hypocrite anymore. It's
Yeah,
a
I'm cured.
constant
I'm cured
work
of
at
being a
it.
hypocrite, right?
But I really have tried to say, all right, let me check my own bull. And I think everybody needs to do that more.
I love it. Yeah, I don't think you could have said that any better. The two camps, and again, you're going to be somebody who's more scholarly on the why of how we got here, not difference of opinions, but Republican, Democrat, two-party system, all that stuff. I've never believed in that actually.
Yeah.
And I look at the person or the people or the administration, whatever the group is that's in power of that group, because I could be a Democrat. A lot of the social issues I align with them
Sure.
Democrats on. I push more towards, free market economy and
Sure.
less government is better. And for me, it's and with Trump, of course, because that's what we're really getting at. It's so polarizing, right? As a person, as a human being, because that's what he was there to do, right?
Sure.
In his mind, that was his pathway to get to where he is, and he's been successful in that. And for me, what I hope we can kind of unpack here today for anyone listening too, is the noise is slowing down a little bit because I think they know that there's no more Trump after this, and so people can kind of calm down because they're not fighting to stop what they think is an evil empire. And same thing on the right to the left. It's just more about, okay, what's good for our country. But what I really hope is that, to Pat's point early on, we don't have to worry about that. I can joke about supporting Trump and some of the things that I've done in the beginning of Trump. And Darren, I think you would agree with this, and Pat kind of mentioned it as well. It's sort of like picking your favorite team. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, even though they're a terrible team, right? Right. But I'm a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, and everybody teases you for it. I probably glammed onto Trump a little bit because of the persona in the beginning of bigger than life. And that was fun to support.
Yeah.
And then there were some things that weren't great. And then there were some things that were great. And now it's about what's good for our country. And what I want to figure out is a way to start to have those conversations. And I think it's happening. I see it at the events that we do where I think most people know where I stand on my politics, because I'm pretty open, that it's an open tent too. Like, just because we don't agree on specific issues, we probably agree on way more than you think. and I would never look at you and say, oh, you support a different viewpoint than I do, so you've got to be less than. Never have been that guy. So getting open to it and having these podcasts and talking about it more, I think is
Yeah.
powerful.
Well, look, we always share more commonalities than differences. We just do, right? We're humans
100%.
on this planet, and I don't want to get my ex-wife used to accuse me, rightly so, by the way, she'd nail it. She called it whiskey, Darren. Like twice a year, I'd have whiskey, and I'd be out in the backyard, and I'd look up at the sky and be like, "Who are we? Like we're on a rock spinning through space. Like what are we even doing here?" And I would
What's
get
it all about?
I know.
Bro,
Well, I'm trying not to be
I
whiskey,
am
Darren.
so with you on that
I'll
conversation.
try not to be
Who
whiskey,
are
Darren,
we?
but we have a lot of commonalities. And I talked to somebody about 4 or 5 years ago that told me, I didn't ask. They said they had voted for Obama and Trump. And my mind was blown. I was like, wow, like that's crazy. Those are two very different people. I kind of asked her a couple questions. I knew her fairly well. And what I came away with, and I don't mean this in a condescending way at all, she does not think, and I think most people are like this. This is where Washington, D.C. gets sucked in. She doesn't think about politics most days, weeks, or months. She has 3 kids. She has a job. She's trying to pay bills.
Yeah.
She has a life. She's worried about things. She's not getting
Kitchen
up every
table issues.
she's very seldom even thinking about that. So what I learned was she doesn't have time. Most people don't, by the way, to get home and read a 30-page white paper on climate
Hell
change.
no.
She's not
Yeah.
Hell
doing it.
no.
So
Who
what she-
does?
I know. And so that's given me a lot of peace to just go, look, most people aren't in DC. This isn't running their life. They have shit to worry about. Guess what? So do
Yeah.
I. And so
Exactly.
I've tried to find places that we can all connect. Phil and I have connected. We can tell that story whenever, but I've come to really appreciate and respect you, even though we might not agree on a lot of things. But then I've also found through the process, guess what? We do agree on some things. And that's
Very
to me
much
where
so, yeah.
Washington could do a better job is there's always something to work on that people agree on. Go do
Yeah.
that. And let's not ostracize the other time. That's really where we can both do. The word rhino that came out, boy, if you don't agree with us on everything, you're out. And Democrats
Yeah.
leaning on poor Joe Manchin. Like
Yeah.
you've got to allow that there's going to be some disagreement, and that shouldn't say that you got to get the hell out of the party. That's a dangerous thing that's probably always been there. I think it's intensified.
Yeah, it's the system.
Big time.
The
Big
system
time.
itself needed to. Well, okay, and if this is where we're gonna talk about this, my support of Trump early on was because I saw that change agent piece. I knew he was going to be somebody that would break the system,
Sure.
and I hoped for the good. Right, like it wasn't to break it to make it more right leaning and Republican Republican viewpoints and are going to get pushed through. I think the whole system needed to be broken so that it could get reformed to back to what I think our founders had envisioned, and we had been doing for a really long time in our politics really well, and then it shifted. And so early on,
But I think the average American now disagrees with the founders.
You might be right.
yeah,
That's you know what? Interesting perspective to have somebody. How long have you been in America, Patrick? Could you remind me where you were born?
Been here for 5 years.
5 years. I love having a
Mhm.
perspective. So
right.
lay it on us. What have you seen?
I've seen a huge division in society. I've seen politics that I've never seen before. I've seen passion for and against America by every American. Like
Yeah.
I've seen people put Palestine flags at the front of their house and disrespect the American flag. I've seen people put American flags and disrespect Palestinian flags. I've seen people walk into my house and say very bad things about certain signage that I had in my house. And I had no clue about the passion behind a Republican or the passion behind a Democrat. As an Australian who's come to this country, I came to this country purely based off economics, purely based off of career, right? And when I came here, I appreciate the flag. My grandfather raised our family to always respect Americans. My grandfather notified us that America is the mother of the world. America, if it wasn't for the Americans, every Australian would be speaking Japanese right now, right? Post Pearl Harbor. So we have a lot of respect for America as a country. This one person walked into our house. I've got the Constitution on my wall. I bought it when I was in Philadelphia during one
Love.
convention that I went to. And this one person walked in, they rang the doorbell, and it was the 4th of July wood doorbell theme. They
Okay.
rang that and they were like, ooh. And then they saw the American flag outside my house. They were like, ah. They walk in, and there's the Constitution straight away when you walk in, and you're right. And they threw a very derogatory comment towards that, which I wouldn't even repeat that because I wouldn't even say that towards that Constitution. And I looked at that person. I said, how do you hate your country that much? And why are you
Right.
still here? And that's not me being, it's me being genuine, bro. Like I'm being serious. Like
You were
if
asking, you
fucking
were
hate your
actually
country so
asking a
much,
question of, I don't get, it doesn't compute, right?
it just doesn't make sense. Like, I was
Yeah.
just so confusing. And then but they were comfortable enough to let me know, oh, because our forefathers were rapists, and our forefathers did this, and our forefathers did
Yeah.
that, and we don't believe in that.
Mhm.
And I was like, and me and Kiara sat down, we're like we've got to hide our things. Like, I don't want to cause division within our friends. Like, we had to sit down about this. But now I'm like, I respect everyone, right? I believe in the right. I don't believe in the right to hide my feelings. I don't believe in
Yeah.
that at all. You know what
Well,
I mean?
that's what makes this country so
so to-
beautiful, is that you don't
Ye-
have to hide that.
yeah.
You
But
should
to
be
answer your
able to
question,
do that.
Darren, I've seen the Phils of the world, and I've also seen more extra 10 times Phils, and then I've seen the polar opposites who completely disagree with, you know, the founding documents of this country. That's what I've seen. And as an outsider, I've got 1,000 questions, bro.
I love it. Well, I'm not the guy to give all the answers. I'm laughing about there's probably like one vendor out there that's like, oh, Portico. They're going to get 20 minutes in and they're like, these guys are just talking about everything, which I actually prefer. So let's keep
Yes.
that rolling.
Yeah.
What? I don't know. I have a lot of political questions, but I'm really going to follow your guys' lead. So what do y'all want to talk about? We can keep going down this. We can do whatever you guys want. So shape me.
We'll touch on your
I'm here to
business at
follow.
some point. We'll touch on your business at some point, right? We've got some time. We've got another
Boring.
40, 50 minutes to go. But shoot your questions your way, because I've had dinner with you multiple times and we've connected. Our conversations have been really well. You don't accept things at face value. You question every fucking thing that comes your way. You don't, it's not a yes straight away. You go and you break down the glass. So shoot your questions our way. I would love to get engaged and get questioned by you, to be honest with you.
I think one of the questions, so I was lucky. We have a client, a great client that is based in Japan. And my partner and I were like, most of our clients are based in Texas or Arizona. We see them all the time. Here's this group out of Japan. They're really important to us. Let's go to Japan. So in April or May, I don't remember. I went to Tokyo. I went to Japan. It was awesome. Stayed a little while to kind of go see the culture. Do you guys know? I did not, by the way, so I'm not trying to trick you. Do you know how big Tokyo is? Do you know how many people are there?
The number of people?
Take a stab. Yeah, just take a stab, because I was
3,
shocked.
8 million.
Great guess. What do you think, Patrick?
20?
Great. I mean, man, and I didn't know. They are 2.5 times the size of New York. 37 million people.
What?
Yeah. Guys, I was blown away.
Wow.
I didn't
That's
know that.
insane. I didn't know
I
that
had to
either.
Google that.
Wow.
So I go over there. I spend probably 4 or 5 days in Tokyo. I went to Kyoto. Guys, I had a rough trip back. I came back going, America, something's gone wrong. Because this
I agree.
city is 37 million people. I saw one homeless person in 5 days.
Yeah. Runs like a top.
I did not hear, I think I heard one siren. One. Probably some old lady broke her. I talked to some, there's no crime. I mean, I don't want to say no, of course.
Yeah, but yeah.
Minimal.
It's like a bike got stolen. There just is not a lot of crime. I went to a baseball game because I'm a huge baseball fan. And I'm the only guy that looks like me in the whole section. And these 2 ladies next to me, they're by themselves. They go up to get a beer. They leave their purses. They just left them.
Yeah.
They knew that nobody was going to. And I came back here going, guys, something's wrong. Because this is, I mean, now, to Patrick's point, I still love America. That's the one thing I just, it's okay to ask people why they're here. I don't love this new, like, if you don't like it, get out. Because it's okay to not
Well, it's
like
like cancel culture too. I don't agree
Yeah.
with. Like,
It's okay to say,
you said
I don't
something
like
wrong.
it.
We got to, bury
right.
your company.
I have
But
no
that-
problem with somebody saying I've got some real problems with what America's doing, but I'm going to
Yeah.
stay and I'm going to try to shape it. That's what the founding fathers did. So I did come back saying something's wrong. But here's what I've really been thinking, and I don't know a path out of this. we've seen the extremes of Republican and Democrat cities and states, and they both fail. You go to San Francisco, that's a failed city. That was it. It didn't. There's some real issues there, and I think they started with good intent, but the result was not good. And then you see the Republicans kind of got control of Kansas, and they said we're going to put in all of our tax cuts, everything we've always said. They were bankrupt 2 years later. Today, a Democrat is a governor of Kansas. They said, oh, that didn't work. So we've seen the extremes of each, and they don't work. So to me, the best path is, boy, let's find the moderation between these two parties. That works. So my question for you guys is, since we've seen that, we don't have to guess. We can visit San Francisco and Kansas. They're both failures. How do we find the middle path back? Because we know that's what works. So how do we get there?
I'll tell you right now, it's these conversations. It's
Okay.
being open instead of afraid because you get pushed into your corner. This country was founded on, our congressional system, and how that legislative body works is through healthy discourse, disagreement. Our legislators in Congress, in the Senate, are there to argue with each other respectfully to then come up with a consensus that works for the country. And what has happened is people have confused their opinion with facts and have been allowed to do that and say, this is my opinion. And you have to take it as a fact. And I can just yell at you and tell you, call you racist or call you woke, it works on both sides. Right. And just say that your viewpoint is null because I don't agree with it. And we've gotten away from what made this country or makes this country so great is we can disagree, but at the end of the day, we're going to move forward together. And having conversations is the key. Communication. I say this in my business. I don't know how you find it on your side on the property management, but every single issue, every challenge, every concern we have in our business comes down to communication. Either not communicating the proper viewpoint or workflow, whatever, not listening in the communication, listening to what a customer is telling you. It's always communication. And in our country, that's what's dead because people were afraid. I think it's changing. Hopefully this podcast is the tip of the spear, right? We're going to change our entire culture by this one podcast of being open to talk about it. And it's not afraid. We're not afraid. And I would leave you with this, Pat, maybe you can answer it. Darren too. Would you ever not take a client because they disagreed with you politically?
Money's always green.
Yeah. But even more so on a personal level, you wouldn't. I don't think. I mean, you can answer it.
Darren, answer the question.
No, politically, no
Right?
issue at all. There's a whole vast thing. There's 7 billion people in the world.
Right?
People are different. We do have a no rule. I think
thank
we
you.
follow it pretty well.
But no, it's not really political, Darren.
No, zero
Yeah.
political. But if you're a bad person and you're treating our people, we will fire a client. It's never for a belief.
Yeah.
I
Good
would
for
feel
you.
so, bro. I agree with everything you just said, and I do have a question for Patrick. Let me say something, and then a question for Patrick. The other thing I would add to Phil, because I do like conversation, is I would like more people to say I don't know when they don't. And I've seen this as I don't know if it's just an American thing, but I've seen it, and it cracks me up. Like somebody will say, "What do you think about Ukraine and Russia?" And I'm like, "Bro, I don't know. I've never been to Russia. I've never been to Ukraine.
You're not a
I've read
verified
some
source to
things.
comment.
I don't know." I wish more people would say, "Look, I know a lot about these 3 things. I know enough to talk about these 10 things. Bro, I don't know." Like on this.
I
Because
love
we
that.
don't know. I've never, like when I used to hear people talk about what we should do in the Middle East, and I would just go, do you know the difference between a Sunni and a Shiite? And they'd be like, well, the one, like if you don't know, shut the fuck up. Like it's okay. You're
That's
allowed
it.
an
Yeah.
opinion, but if it's not an informed opinion, buddy, I don't know a lot of things. Like I would just say, I'm not sure. I'd love to dig in. If you know, let me know. So a little more I don't know, and a little more humility would be good. Patrick, you've been here 5 years. What is one thing that they do in Australia that you really wish we did here? It could be political or not. Like, what's one thing if you could port it over and America would start doing that, what would it be?
Politically?
Or
No,
not
just
politically.
what as a country, what do they do really well?
Everything. You almost said everything.
No.
Let's move to
Fuck
Australia.
no. Hey, bro, just pause it right there. Hell no. Because if everything was done right, I wouldn't be sitting in the seat right now. The look, I'm gonna try to apply your method of removing my bias from the situation. Okay. Looking at Australia collectively as a country, growing up there, I personally don't agree with a lot of the things that the Australian government does. I don't,
Okay.
and that's just me trying to be as professional as possible with no
Sure.
emotional bias. I really want to say that they fucking need help, but the health system in Australia needs a lot of work. There's the I don't like a lot of things they do in Australia. So I don't personally believe that the way the Australian government controls and the country or
Sure.
manages a country, I don't believe there's any benefit. And I say that purely from an economical standpoint. If you look at the countries, America is only 30% bigger than Australia based off land
Yeah.
size, and America is not that much older than Australia and has a lot more developments right across the country. Australia, we only live on the outskirts. We need a lot more assistance in economical structure. I personally believe. So I don't believe that there's anything that we can bring from Australia. I do believe that there's some pretty cool quality foods in Australia.
Sure.
If there was one thing that we could bring from Australia, it would be that the quality of food and the health approval stamp on food quality. I believe we as America could learn from that, because if you taste your cheeses, if you taste your milks in Australia, it's 1 billion times better than Australia than America.
So you
That's
made me laugh real
one thing.
quick. Okay, you got another one? I'm ready. I want them all.
No, that's the outside of that, bro. That's it. Education. I also believe that American education isn't that far off, and I personally believe that the answer to your question of how do we fix the left and the right is communication is one thing, but communication is like a step 3 or 4, bro.
Mm.
I think education is number one.
Yeah.
People's emotional intelligence is so fucking low to
Yeah.
the point where Darren had to learn to remove himself from a situation and listen to the argument for what it was outside of who was saying it. But he had to learn that. Why are we not taught emotional intelligence when we're 13, 14, 15, so that we can come into the world understanding the ins and outs of communication and perceiving information, so that when it comes our way, we have the maturity to deal with it? That's where I believe we could really fix the issue at hand.
I love it. Well, you made me think of something real quick while we were in Japan, and they have great food. My partner, I did not go to this restaurant. He went with his wife. They bring it out. It's like a 2-star Michelin restaurant. He's very excited. They're there, they're ready, and they bring out, are you ready? Chicken sashimi, which means
Shut
raw thin sliced chicken.
Stop it.
I swear to God, his poor wife is like, no. It's just like 100% no. He's like, I want to be respectful. I'm a foodie. I'm sure it's fine. Nobody's dying. So they eat it and then quickly Google, like, am I going to die? And you're going to love this, to your point, Patrick. It's totally healthy and fine there because of the way they raise their livestock and what they do. They're like, you could not do that in America. You eat raw chicken, here you die. It's not about the chicken. It's about how you feed them, what
That's
you
so
do, how
interesting.
so they can eat raw chicken there. You couldn't do it here. You would just be
No.
very sick. So
No, I mean, that's
to
like
your
Russian
point,
roulette.
what's super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, the quality of food is just it's next level, dude, and you taste it. You
Pat's
actually
face was like, I'm
taste the
not eating
difference.
chicken sashimi though. So
No, no, hell no, bro. It's just not happening, dude. No way in the world. No, it just doesn't work that way.
so
Hey, on Japan, on a Phil, I know you're dying. Let me just get one question
Yeah,
in, and
no,
then
you're
it's
good.
Phil's turn. When I first landed in Japan, one of my first words to myself was "fuck off," and it was when I was at the airport.
yeah.
I landed and I went to catch a train to go to my uncle's house at the time. And I was going up the escalator and there was a line, a single file line of people waiting to go up the escalator. And there was no lines on the ground to guide these people to
Mhm.
understand that there's a
Yeah.
line. Whereas with us, it's just like,
Oh, free for all.
Elbowing out.
Yeah.
but the respect.
Oh yes.
And I seen kids, bro, kids that were 4 years old up to my quads holding hands,
Yeah.
walking to school.
Yeah.
In the mornings. Like, dude, these guys, Japanese won. They won.
They've done
They won
something
a long
right,
time
bro.
ago.
Because I was pretty
Well,
37 million people. It was clean and
Yep.
no home. They've done something right.
Well, and you look at it's a traditional, they support family. Their
Yes.
families stay together. Divorce rates, I think, pretty low in Japan. I think a lot of that comes from teaching, with the kid thing, the parents model for the children what they should be from a social cultural standpoint. And we are missing that in America today. There's a breakdown of the traditional family unit, and that's affecting our kids. And a lot of what you see right now with these problems we're having in some of these big cities, whether they're Republican or Democrat run, our youth is just Katie bar the door. They don't care about cultural norms. They don't care about authority, and they're creating a lot of havoc. And getting back to the rule of law, I believe in no crime is a small crime. You need to focus on the small things because those lead to big things, and
Sure.
getting back to that control, because we all want it, whether you're left or right. Keeping a healthy, safe society for everyone who lives here is the ultimate goal. And then we can disagree and we can talk about politics and policies and big stuff. But yeah, it's so interesting. I didn't know the Japan thing was that. I didn't realize it was that many people. That's massive.
Mind blown. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, if you had a
more-
city in
the
America
more you
right now
know.
with 38 million people in it, I mean, it would be like Escape New York. There there would be castles and parapets and all that other stuff. So
No, it'll be definitely a shit show. All right, let's transition because we're halfway through the podcast now, and I want to dive into Darren's business a bit more. Darren, tell us the Portico story. Well, what's give us the
tell
ins
us
and
your
outs of the
story. Like,
Portico
tell us how you
story.
got to Portico and then run through Portico.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna give you the short version to not put people to sleep. I'm happy to answer follow-up questions. I did not grow up in the industry, which I think is a strength. I do. Over time, I went to a very fine institution called Arizona State University.
Hey,
That's what you
Sun
do when you
Devils.
have very little money and not very good grades.
Sun
is you're a
Devils.
Sun Devil. So I went to there. I studied political science and then I got an MBA. I went to work at Accenture out of there, and then 9/11 happened and the world was laid off and I was laid off, which is never fun. And then it was like, what the hell am I going to do? I
What was
completely
Accenture for people that are listening? Tell us what kind of
Accenture was
company.
a big five consulting firm. So it's actually a really good thing when you're fresh out of college. I think I was 26 because I got my MBA at 26, 27. You travel and you're a consultant and you go to different companies and you try to help fix things. And what a great way to see the world. I went to Minneapolis, Denver, a couple other places, or at least the nation. Did that till I got laid off. And then it's like, what the hell am I going to do? I completely fell into this industry late. I never worked on property. I have a very good vendor friend named Kim Scott. She'll probably watch this. She told me, she kind of asked my story, and I said, well, I never worked on site. A very smart man that was a good mentor for me, Ray Barrows, said, I believe that our industry is simple enough that smart people can do it. When he couldn't find any smart people, he hired me. But he said, look, you don't need experience. It's hard to execute. But what we're doing in multifamily is no different than you're doing in retail or rental cars, or there's an inventory problem and you're with clients. I mean, it's pretty easy. So he hired me as a regional. I had never even been on property. I must say that did not make me very popular at the company. You can imagine. They were
Yeah.
like, who the hell is this guy?
He
He's
doesn't
never been on
he
property. He
knows
doesn't know
nothing.
anything.
Yeah.
But I was fairly humble and I said, you're right. I don't know anything. I've been in business. Teach me. I had a couple nice people there. Ginger Doss was one of them, just take me under their wing and learned. And so did that for a while. Eventually he brought me to Dallas to start a management company for another group called Verdi Apartments. I did that. And then they sold in 2011 to Camden. And that's kind of the inflection point. I was 37. I got a little money from some stock on the sale, not a ton. And I was divorced at the time. I had a 2-year-old. And I said, God, what am I going to do with my life? I didn't really have an entrepreneurial itch, but I felt like if you're going to do it, try it so you don't have any regrets. I had a little money. I didn't have any, I wasn't with anybody. I said, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try to start my own company. And I don't know if it's going to work. And if I'm being honest with you guys, I actually did not think it would work, but I really felt like I didn't want to be 60 looking back and go, man, I wish I would have done that. It was the last chance. I had a very good vendor friend that helped push me off the ledge. I was scared. I'm being honest. I was very cowardly about this. And they said,
it's
what are you
uncharted
afraid of?
waters.
Like he asked me a great question. He said, what's the worst that could happen? And Phil, you'll love my answer. I said, a lot of bad can happen. I can lose all my money.
Let me
I
start
can
here.
be-
Yeah.
I can lose every dime I have. I can be embarrassed on a stage, have to crawl back and say I failed, like a lot. And God bless him. His name was Paul. He said, and then what? And I said, well, what do you mean? Like, I just showed you my life would be terrible. He goes, are you going to like live under a bridge? That's what you're going to do? And I
And
said,
even at
no.
that, how bad is that for a while?
I mean,
Like,
pretty bad probably. He goes,
know?
well, literally, let's assume that happens. What do you do? I said, I'd call Camden back. Camden actually offered me a job. I've never told this publicly. I got to meet Rick and Keith. Great. What a great organization. They're everything you've heard about Camden is true. They're a A-class organization. They offered me a job and I said, look, guys, what am I going to do here? You guys are already great. Like, am I going to come and dust your trophies? Like, you don't need me. I'd rather go build something great myself. And so I told him, I said, I'd probably put my tail back between my legs and go get a job. And he goes, and would it be like, sweeping, or would they, I go, well, probably a VP job. He goes, well, okay. So you're not going to die. You're not going to starve. What are you waiting for? And guys, what powerful advice. Like, he's right. Like, I had enough years that I could still build up the college fund for my son, Trevor. And I just jumped. And guys, I got to be honest, this is not false humility. I don't do false humility. I didn't think it was going to work. It should not have worked because I was an idiot. I knew how to run stuff, pretty good at operations. I knew how to hire. I had not one earthly idea how to get a client. Like, I'd worked for groups that already had all that. I just did the operations, and through my arrogance, I said, well, I'll figure it out. And guys, I did not figure it out. It took like a year and a half. I literally like had my laptop. I'm like, whew, what do I do today? I guess I hung the shingle. I assume you're going to come hire me.
it's a big business happening right here. Yeah.
Oh man, it was really
0
humbling.
units under management.
Guys, really humbling. Like, I would go on and I didn't even know how to find a client. And when I would get an audience, they'd go, well, how many units do you have? I'd be like, well, 0.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know how to spin it. And I was just terrible. I really was. I know Phil's going to say, no, you have the gift of gab, all that. I didn't. And I didn't like sales. I wasn't good at it. And it was a very difficult 15 months. And then, guys, you catch a lucky break. Most companies, there's some lucky break and somebody gives you just a chance and you've got to take it. I got that chance pretty late. The money was running out and I jumped on it and I said, I'm going to fucking live at this property. Like, I'm going to.
So did you bootstrap, bro? Did you bootstrap?
Yeah, I didn't have any. Yeah, it was all me.
So you bootstrapped.
Yeah. So stupid.
No.
Like,
Amazing.
so
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, it was on me. And I got this one just lucky break. And I was like, I'm just sleeping at the property. We're going to figure it out. And then good stuff happens. And I ended up, a gal that still works for me, got laid off or something. And she needed a job. And I knew that she was very loyal. So if she found another job, I knew I wouldn't get her back. So I hired her. I could not afford her. Like, there was no doubt. I think I might have white lied a little and said, oh, we got a pipeline.
Yeah.
And what that did,
Money's
that
coming.
was super useful. That put pressure on me. Like, I had a mouth to feed.
It does. It
Yeah.
does.
It
Yes.
did. And I was like,
Yes.
holy shit, I cannot. This poor girl like believed in me. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And it put me in another gear. I was like, I got to get some business. And that was, I started in 2011. We probably got our first break in 2013 or 13. I hired her and then still struggled till about 2016. There's no overnight success.
No.
And then we got a really big deal. And that was probably the first time that I took a breath and said, all right, failure is not guaranteed anymore. Now, what the hell are you going to do?
Right.
And it's been a grind. I wish I could say none of that was BS. It took luck, a lot of luck, and just some effort, and then hiring really good team. I mean, everyone would tell you that I can leave for months, and this team's really good. They're going to do a great job. They care, and that allows us to do a good job. And it was lucky, and I never should have done it. I'm glad I did, but boy, it looked like failure for a long time.
I feel like
I got
all
1,000
entrepreneurs.
questions, so you go for a bit.
Just all entrepreneurs have that story, I think, unless it's, just family money dropped at your lap. You can't fail because we can, buy our way in. All of you that have done this have had that feeling because you just knew there was something you could create, but there's no guarantee for success. And the folks that I'm most attracted to, like you, Darren, and Pat, and the other people we know, is the authenticity. And we use this on our podcast a lot, is you're an authentic person. I think it's funny you say you're not a salesperson. I love it when people say that to me because I can tell that what a salesperson is, and that's somebody who shows up authentically, is true
Yep.
to themselves, and won't sacrifice their values just to get something done. And I think that's probably the company you've built. And I've seen that in some of the people around you. You foster that culture, and that culture is what breeds success, right? And Pat has the same thing in his business. And that's the real testament to this is whatever it is you chose to do, property management was the thing. You would have been successful. Eventually it would have, because people like you have, it's something special. And I don't know if this is the right analogy. It's like a pro athlete, right? I can hit a golf ball, but I can't repeat hitting it the same way over and over to then end up on the PGA Tour. Entrepreneurs like yourself have something different that others don't. You're born with it and you access it, and you're willing to take that risk. I think it's huge. I have a question real quick though on the company Portico. How did you name it? And was that the original name from 2011?
I mean, look, my marketing team, if they were here, would be angry. I need a better story. There's not a good one. Look, in
Okay.
this day and age, the first thing you look at when you're naming a company is what's the URL and can I get a website? I mean, that's
Yeah, right.
you list 20 names and the first 5 are like, nope, there's 20 companies like that. And you get down to like 9, 10 on your list and you're like, well, here's one. So it's not fancy or exciting. It's been Portico
Okay.
the whole time. It's kind of you to say what you said. It's uncomfortable for me because I don't know that it's true. We all have our gifts, and God willing in life, I look for the Venn diagram of what am I good at, what do I enjoy, and what adds value. And when you can find something that kind of clicks all those, and I think we all have, then it really does. It's just so much rewarding. We spend so much time at work. I mean, you guys both spend more time at work than you do with your families. So do I.
100%.
I'd rather be spending time with our families. So if we're going to do that, well, damn, we better really love it. And love it
So-
doesn't mean it's perfect all the time. I tell my team this all the time. But when my alarm goes off in the morning, like if I'm not excited to go do what I'm doing, then something's wrong and I got to change it. And I believe that's what I'm telling my son that nobody is responsible for making your life good but you. Like nobody's out there going, I'm going to go. So I want us all to love what we do and keep making it. And I have my own pity parties, Phil. There's times I'm like, this has been a really tough 2 years. It's
Yeah.
been difficult. Like interest rates and properties are cash strapped and we're all putting more hours in for, it seems like, less productivity. It can be really tough, but at the end of the day, we are responsible for changing it. Every time I get whiny, I just remind myself like, hey, what are you doing about it that's constructive? And if not, then shut the hell up.
Kick your own ass, right? Get in
Do
it.
you guys know what an ikigai is?
A what?
Ikigai.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Phil?
Icky guy?
And
Like-
ikigai is a Japanese word for the which translates into purpose. So once again, Japanese geniuses.
Yeah.
So they coach children to work on their ikigai from when they're young.
Good.
So ikigai is basically a combination of what you're good at, what can add value to the world, and what you
Oh, I
enjoy.
love that.
Love
So there's 3, it's a Venn diagram, and then in the middle is going to be your sweet spot. And you guys should do this in your spare time. Use ChatGPT to help you determine your ikigai. So just message ChatGPT and just say, ask me questions to help me determine my ikigai.
Oh,
And
that's
she will
pretty
go
cool.
through and she will ask you, I done it, Kiara did it.
Did you say
and,
she? You think ChatGPT is a she?
Um,
That was
in my
pretty
house,
interesting.
we've
I love that.
in my house, we've gendered her as a female, correct?
That's amazing. I
But
love that.
That's my
actually.
house. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, if someone's offended, like with all due respect,
No,
like, it is what
I
it
think
is,
it's
right?
amazing. Actually, I love
So
that.
Patrick, what is yours? You can't drop a lead like that and not tell us what's your ikigai.
So my ikigai led towards a hybrid between investing into companies that have a fun, inspiring motivation. So it had something got to do with working in the educational space. It had something got to do with investing in companies that can contribute towards freshly graduated college students that to help them determine their direction. And all of these aspects made sense because my first book that I wrote was written for freshly graduated college students.
This
So-
is before you did all
and-
this. You didn't know your ikigai. Okay.
I didn't know, and
That's so
ChatGPT, I don't know if she knew I was an author or not. Probably, I got no clue. But it was interesting because it made sense that's where I'm at. Like, you put me in a room full of kids between the age of, say, 18 and 22, and they all say I'm lost. Bro, I'll have a blast in that room.
That's your
I'll have
purpose.
an absolute blast. Oh, bro, I'll kill it, and I'll do that for free for the rest of my life because I want. What can we do? I'm a Christian. I believe we're all sons and daughters of God. So what can we all do to help protect this earth and make it better? What are you good at? What are you good at? What are you good at? Let's find something. And you don't know what you're good at? Great. Grab a paintbrush, start painting. You go into that corner and start singing. You go start cooking. What are you shit at? Eliminate that. Go on to the next thing. Bro, I had 27 jobs by the age of 18. Like, I've been through hell and back searching for what I was good at. And then I ended up finding out that I was really good at just conversations and communicating with people.
Phil, when
Connecting
he
people.
pointed, was he pointing at you for cooking or singing? Which one am I doing?
I'm pretty
Oh,
sure. Yeah, I'm pretty
yeah.
sure he just
No.
told me to go mend some dresses and churn the butter, honey, because
I would
that's where I
not.
stand in this relationship.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm going to do any of those things.
If he
You
could
know,
pat me on the head and say, "Oh, she's so cute."
I'm
Yeah.
grateful for, but I really, the first time I hung out with Patrick was you put me in the room. And yeah, Pat, by the end of the night, I was like, we're going to be best friends. Like, I just kind of
Yeah,
knew.
you guys connected at
You
dinner.
and Foss, I miss that guy. He makes me feel very not smart, though. Like, his
Yeah,
brain
it
is
makes you
going
feel
at a,
so
And-
important.
and just super cool because that guy I think has one speed and it's chill, and I'm just the coolest guy in the room, but nobody needs to know it. And he's very humble, but he's very successful. I love that energy from him.
he's amazing.
That is
All right.
so. I love what you just said, Pat. Like, what a cool way to. I mean, it's the why of what you do, right? You know, I guess that'd be the American way of saying it, and we are all searching for that. And the fact that you know it so well, I don't know that I could articulate. I know connecting people and being social and finding ways from like the two of you connecting, that for me was a win from that dinner. We're there trying to talk about our businesses and we're doing stuff, and you know, hopefully you guys connect on business. But I connected two people that matter to me in different ways that I know are really stellar, good humans. That for me is probably my ikigai, is connecting people, because I think that makes the world better. The three of us ending up as friends, whether we ever do a stitch of business together ever. I mean, Darren, I'm not in multifamily. I'll probably never sell you anything in what I do. You know, I would love to if the opportunity was there, but I probably never will. And I don't care, because I got you as a friend, as a person, as a mentor, a guy in my life that I'll reach out to when I have questions to ask. And that for me is the win.
I'll tell you what, bro. I fucking care about sell. I need to sell the fuck out of Darren.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's going to hard
I
close you.
haven't-
You're not getting off this spot. By the way, you're not allowed to get off the podcast until you signed on the dotted line.
But the problem with me and Darren is that I've enjoyed our friendship so much more than a business relationship that I haven't even doubled down on
He
pitching
forgets
him.
to ask for the business.
I don't want to bore people on the
Mhm.
podcast, but we will tell you afterwards about our second steak dinner because we had a blast. And
That was
What
in
was good?
Dallas, right?
It was.
Yeah.
Some server tried to spit some facts at us, and we're like, bro, we're gonna fact check you in real time. Like, I don't.
Grind them up right in the grinder.
Oh, that was funny, man.
I-
That was the birth
amazing.
of the- that was the birth of the Finland Communist Party.
Yeah, too
I
many
wanna-
inside jokes. Your people will
I want to
sleep if you
share.
tell them.
I want to share a quick fun story too with Darren, because this is the friendship side, right? And this is one of those things that you just can't script. So I have this older Bronco that I was selling, right? And a 69 resto mod, and he was interested. We'd been talking for a little while, and I bought this thing, and it's a good truck, but it needed a little some fixes, right? And I put some money into it and thought I got it to where it needed to be. And you know, Darren's like, "Hey, I'm interested," you know, and I'm like, I would say this to anyone. It wasn't a hard sell thing. I was like, "Hey, take it for the weekend. If you like it, you never know. We'll talk Monday." And I'm out of town too. And he comes by and picks up the truck. And, you know, this is that if we ever were going to do business together, maybe this was the end of it as well. Not in reality, but if we weren't friends, it could have been. And he picks up the truck, and I get a text or a call, and he's like, "Hey, you know, it's not starting." And I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting. Where are you?" "Well, I'm at Top Golf with my girlfriend and her parents, and we're in the parking lot, and I think her son, right? Or her kid, right?"
A lot of people there, man. I don't know.
Yeah, like he had everybody
This
that
is
mattered to him checking this Bronco out, and I'm like, you've got to be me. I go, "This is a joke, right?" And he goes, "No, it just, you know, well, sorry." He goes, "I didn't want to bother you. You know, I'll just get it towed." And I'm like, "No, I'll take care." He's like, "No, we're already in the tow truck or whatever." And I'm like,
Dude.
oh my God, you couldn't have written a worse or a better script, whichever way you're looking at it.
So 1 second,
Yeah.
1 second. Did Darren try to buy the Bronco from you?
He was going, well, it was discussed. He was looking at it. He was interested. You know, there was
I'm
no like,
interested. Let's talk.
hey, I'm taking guys, but I wanted him to take it because his dilemma, if I can speak for
Like
you,
try
on
before
this,
you buy type deal?
was he
Yeah.
wanted to buy, he was looking at either an older resto mod like what I had, or just buy a brand new Bigfoot.
No,
you
not brand
know,
new. I
that's
wanted old. I knew. I
yeah, he wanted old, but I'm like,
Vintage.
this is, here's the great opportunity. Take it. By the way, I still have the Bronco because he did not buy it. Yeah, he had it towed back to my house.
But brother, do you not love that? Like, you must have apologized 20 times. I'm like, what happens? Like,
you
what?
didn't care. You were so cool.
Mm.
But it is funny, like how those stories, you just never know how that's going to go. You can't write a script in reality of how that's going to go down. Yeah.
All right, I have some questions for you guys, and then you can ask
Bring
me
it.
whatever you want before we get the hell out of here. One, so I did watch a couple of your podcasts because I wanted to be a little prepared. How long you been doing this now?
Ooh, that's a good question. 6 months?
3 months?
6
Is it
months.
3?
3? No, I think 3, 4 months.
Whatever. So,
Yeah.
3 to 6 months. One, what is your biggest surprise since you've been doing it? Well, it could be a guest or it could be, boy, we didn't expect that. Two, do you have a great whale guest that you like want
Ooh.
so bad and don't know? So what's your biggest surprise? And what's the future look like it? And who's your biggest guest you like want on here? We'll ask him right now to come on.
Joe Rogan, if you're listening, you
Joe,
need
get on
a
it.
little help with your career. Come on, just chat with us. Give us some inside scoop. and
Yeah.
let's go. Somebody asked me that before. That's a great question. I think it was Kyra on one of our company little deals, and she sprung it on me. So I didn't have time to think. And Joe Rogan was the first person that popped into my head because I would love to be on his podcast to feel what that's like, that energy and who he is, to get that. I'm like, wow, what a cool thing to have a guy like that who basically has rewritten the rules of podcasting for 3 hours and all the time he has with these guests, to be able to have some insight from somebody like that. So that's my answer.
Okay.
What's yours?
And 1 second, let's just revisit the question. So it was best guest and what shocked us the most,
Well,
correct?
no, the guest that you want, not best guest. Biggest surprise. Yeah, like as you
Biggest
envision this, what's the thing you're like,
Yep.
we had no idea.
Okay. So one thing my ideal guest probably would be Patrick Bet-David. He's the head host of the PVD podcast. I really appreciate his insight, the way he communicates. His communications is extensively logical, very effective, and he's done some really cool political debates. And I really appreciate his perspective and the way he articulates conversations. So Patrick Bet-David for sure. And second question, what's shocked me the most was I never realized the importance of energy in a three-way conversation. So we've interviewed certain people and conversations, we've ended the podcast and been like, oh man, that was so good. And then we've had some other conversation with some people that were just extensively
It was just tough. It was tougher. Yeah.
It was tough because I guess the personality style didn't match. Me and Phil are loud characters. You jumped on this podcast. I feel like I'm looking at the time. We've been talking for 58 minutes. I feel like it's just been 6, right? We've had such a good time. It's such a fruitful, flowing conversation. No, bro. When you're interviewing different personalities, you're going to find it tough because they will not gel with you and their answers will be extensively dry. And then you, as the podcast host, need to work it out. Because if I don't keep driving the vehicle or Phil doesn't keep driving the vehicle at a certain pace, it's going to crash.
Yeah. Do you?
yeah.
Okay, go ahead. What's yours? Phil?
No, sorry. I'm going to mimic that. I'll just kind of give my experience when we did our very first recording, because I've never done something like this, right? And what shocks most people about me when I say this is I'm a shy person. I don't know what the term is. I'm an introverted extrovert or extroverted introvert. I am shy and I get very nervous about new things like this. And until I've done it a little bit, I'm nervous, right? And so
do
our
you
very
believe
first,
that? I see your
it's
face.
true. Like,
Bro, it's hard to believe
I know.
that, mate. But you know why it's hard to believe it? Because he advertises the opposite. That's why it's hard to believe it.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's lying at all. 'cause
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think
I
he
agree.
is. I'm just
people
saying
don't
I can
see
see
it
your
because
face.
I overcome it internally. But even
Yeah.
I'll I just had a Tricon event with Amanda Blackman and Chris Gaffney and a bunch of really cool people, some new Tricon people, but folks I kind of knew. I mean, this is my dojo, right? I should have nothing to be nervous about. It was a Top Golf, right? So it was just fun. I flew into Raleigh the night before. The day of, I was stressed because I wanted to be perfect for them. Like I have an internal stress of this thing has to be amazing for the people that are trusting me and showing up and giving me their time. Because we talked about this in our other podcast. Time is the only valuable possession we have. So I put a lot of pressure, and then that's like how I'm going to show up because I want to be fun. I want to be me, the real me. And so I get very nervous about this stuff. And so our first podcast, it's so funny compared to like even coming in here today. I think I logged on 1 minute before we were going to be on and didn't think, I talked to you a little bit earlier, Darren, just because I hadn't talked to you in a couple of days. But zero prep, and I'm just being me now because I've leaned into what this has become. But on that first one, I'm watching every minute on the timer that I can see in front of me and like, oh, it's been 2.5 minutes. What are we going to talk about? It's been three minutes, 32 seconds. What are we going to talk about? Now, I wish we had 5 hours. That's why the Joe Rogan thing is interesting, because I think I see why it can go so long, because it's just some people talking about
What
life.
percent better do you both think you've gotten at interviewing in the last 6 months?
That's a great question. I think for me, I don't know that I've gotten better. I'm just super authentic. I'm just showing up as me. And if we're having a tough interview because somebody isn't comfortable, and again, all the people we've had on, we love. They brought so much talent so much diversity and eclectic backgrounds, but not everybody is going to be like us. That's just have fun and let it rip. And so working with those folks is really the challenge of making sure that we're showing up in an authentic way for them and making it a good experience for them.
Love it.
I think there's not enough questions you can ask someone.
Yeah.
Like,
You're good at that.
Bro, like when it comes to life experience, we can go down a fucking rabbit hole. When it comes to creativity, what's your perspective? That's another rabbit hole. Those two in itself, just on open-ended questions and those two concepts, bro, you got yourself a 3-hour conversation. Regardless if the person is dry or not, there's enough in there to go down that road.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
And letting it rip, man.
Experience and perspective. Those two.
Being, we're lucky because we really don't censor ourselves. I mean, we're going to be respectful. That's the term I like to use, and I love that we've got a forum just to let it go.
I do appreciate that. I don't do a lot of these. There is one person out there. I've done it for a good friend of mine, Andrew Bowen, very smart guy, asked me to do it, but he was doing it for like Real Page or somebody at the time, or at least like, and he's like, I know you cuss a little. I'm not saying don't, but we probably are going to like bleep it. And I was like, bro, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
I'm going to try.
No.
I didn't do great.
If we bleeped all of ours, it would just sound like one of those test things that
about?
come in at 2 a.m. on your TV, the emergency broadcast system.
Bro, what else you guys got? I mean, I'm
okay. So
also, are we going to do this in person sometime? Because I think we should.
That's right. Like,
I agree.
If there's any investors out there, like from Step Brothers, investors could be you. We would love to start flying people into a studio someday.
I genuinely swear to God in my life, I promise you, as an entrepreneur, Darren, I'll look up to you. And let me tell you why I look up to you. I look up to you from the perspective of you don't accept anything at face value and you question the fuck out of whatever comes your way. And I appreciate that because that means that you're a thinker. So my question to you is this. During your time, for starters, Portico, what are you, $15,000 right now?
Units, you mean?
Yes.
18?
Okay. You're 18 and how many employees?
350.
350. Walk us through what were your 3 biggest challenges scaling your company from $5,000 to $15,000 and how did you overcome those challenges?
Sure. I mean, my first answer is going to be the answer you hear from every person ever that's run a business mostly is you can only grow as fast as you can find great people. Like that's restaurants. Now AI is flipping that a little, but we're on the precipice of that. We don't know exactly where that's going to go. From when I started this company in 2011, when Chipotle drops and says, we're going to add 500 stores, that's awesome. But that means you need 500 good general managers. You need 500 good chefs, head chefs that are heading it. You need 20,000 line cooks and servers. And you've got to have that pipeline of talent. You can only grow. And we have people in our space that have grown too fast. They'd be the first to tell you. I interviewed a guy yesterday from one of the big groups, very high up, flat out said, like, we've grown too fast. We can't. And so, first thing that keeps you up at night always is, how are we going to have a pipeline of talent? And how will we get it in here to make sure that it's keeping up with the growth that we want? And that is
Love
where
that.
culture comes in. You guys said culture trumps everything else.
Yep.
Strategy, we can change our strategy twice a day. I don't advise it. It's not real smart to do that, but you could. You can pivot. We've seen major companies pivot, and you're going to have to if you're going to evolve, but you will always need that talent. And that's where the culture comes in. And I believe strongly in culture. Like, honestly, at this point, I have so many good people doing. I don't have. There aren't many things required of Darren Williams at Portico today daily, but I still need to help set the vision, the strategy, the right people, and the culture. And culture is the only way outside of gross incompetence or theft and fraud, or I'm a bad person. The way you're getting fired today from Portico is you don't fit this culture. And we've worked really hard with our team to say, you're doing a disservice to somebody when you keep them around and they're not the right person. We actually
I
have,
agree.
and this is from a book up here. It's not an original thought. I guarantee you, none of what I say is like mind blowing, but we do this. When somebody's on the fence with somebody, we always ask the same question. If they gave notice today, would you be, oh, what am I going to do? I can't replace them. I got to fight them. They're so good. Or would you be secretly relieved that you can now go find the right person? And if the
Yep.
answer is the latter, then you are screwing up as a leader. Like, you've already shit the bed. Like, it is, you should have coached this person out. We're actually hurting them, Patrick. There's a space out there for them that is that Venn diagram that's perfect for them. We're blocking them from that. We're doing them a disservice. And once you frame it that way, which is not bullshit, by the way, so it's real, then that's how we get the right people. And I will say, what we've gotten really good at is we're very authentic in the interview process of who we are, in the hopes that you will self-select out if we're not for you. We're not the right cup of tea for everybody. Nobody is. And so I want you to know, before you say yes at Portico, does this seem like my tribe? Do I like this? And we're going to show the full mess. I tell people, this isn't dating, right? We're not going to hide our crazy for 10 dates. We're going to be honest. We're going to say, here's what we're good at. Here's what we're terrible at. Here's what we may never be good at. Here's where our blind spots are. Does this sound like you or not? And if not, please pick somewhere else, because you're not going to be happy here. We've gotten really good at that. So that was a way too long-winded of answer, but can we find enough people to scale? The one superpower we have is we're not trying to grow too fast. I don't want to add 20,000 units next year because I don't think we can find the talent. I want to add 6. And does that make us a little smaller than we should be at every step? Maybe, but we don't get rid of a lot of those units. We don't get fired a lot because we're not out over our skis. So as ambitious as I am, we're trying to build something sustainable. So talent, and then what's coming next? Because guys, when you look at AI and automation and ChatGPT and that's happening in this world, we have to have people that know our business, but they have to be open to the evolution that's coming. And we have chosen to be very honest. It may be a mistake. I don't know. I don't think so. We've been very honest with our teams about what AI means, what the future looks like, what that means for jobs and employment. And here's the thing. They're reading the stuff anyway, Phil. You know that.
Oh,
So if I
100%.
lie to them and say, nope, everything's good, they know I'm full of shit and I've lost all my credit. I'm not going to do that. So we had a meeting. We had every manager, maintenance supervisor. I mean, everybody. We had 200 people, 150 to 200 people. They were all in here for May. And I flat out told them at the end, I said, guys, I don't know what's coming. Nobody really does, right? We're going to be very honest and flexible. Everybody has to be open. The world is changing. We have 2 choices, right? At Portico, we can put our head in the sand and assume that doesn't work or doesn't affect us. We will be run over, or our competitors will eat our lunch. That we could do that, or we can choose to try to lead. And we're choosing to try to lead. We hired somebody that just works on AI, and we're trying to do that in a cultural way that fits what we do and who we are, but become more efficient and effective. And if you don't have folks that are willing to, and guys, everybody can say that this comes from the top, but at the end of the day, if you can't get your folks on board for that flexibility, people don't like change. They get scared. So we've spent a lot of time going almost door to door to say, hey, look at all the things in our history that we didn't like that we ended up loving. in the beginning, you forget. Once it's successful, guys, you forget that it almost wasn't. Like there's a podcast out there. I don't listen to it. I read the book called How You Built This, and it's all these entrepreneurs. And the number one thing is they almost all failed. Airbnb, Uber. That was crazy the first time it came up. Wait, I'm going to hop in a stranger's car and their their Subaru. They're going home, but they're going to drop me off. Today it sounds fine. At the time it was crazy, but then it works. And guess what? Everybody does it. And so I'm trying to take that same approach with our people. Guys, AI does sound crazy, but it's here. Do we want to lead on it or do we want to get run over? And the unfortunate part, and it does affect me, and Phil, I think you know me well enough to know it does, some people will be left behind.
100%, which is hard.
And I take that very seriously. And so I've told my team, let's bring as many people into the future as we can. They're our team. They're our family. Let's educate. Let's advocate. Let's talk honestly and openly about what's happening and try to bring them into the future. It won't be everybody, but I'm going to try to get everybody on my boat.
So, and I do know you to be that guy. That's what's so cool. And that's what ties into your culture and the people that you attract. And one of the things that I want to share from hearing you say that and what I see in you, we all have egos, right? Managing that ego for all of us is what allows us to see how to do those things better than anyone else. And in your case, right, you don't want to have 100,000 units, 400. I mean, eventually, if the business could sustain that and take care of the culture, you'd go there. But you're not pushing for that number as an ego to say, I got to have 50,000, 20,000. You're going to let the number be what it is based on the culture that you've got. The culture is going to decide the number.
Yes.
And the team.
Does it make sense? That's our
Does it
our
make
mantra.
sense? And is it good for our clients? Is it good for my people? And is it good for me? We do the same thing in our business. We, ask those 3 questions. And I think Patrick does in his too. And that's the key to really successful people. They know how to control the emotional and the ego.
Well, do you know how I stay humble, Phil? It's very easy. I have some of the people that have worked with me 15, 16 years, and they've been with me forever, and they're not going to let me get too big a head. They don't give. Yeah, they're like, Darren, that's great. We've heard your speeches. Get out of the way.
Yeah.
We're going to run the company. So they keep me very humble.
We talked about this on our Friday podcast that won't ever see the air because of, I do want to
watch it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about who you surround yourself with and how important it is to have people that'll call you on your bullshit.
Yeah.
And in my case, the thing that I shared, and we might have released a clip on it, is I had people around me that'll tell me, you're getting over your skis. You're, especially Liz, my wife, but folks that are in my business life, your ego's showing up, buddy. It doesn't look good. Calm down. Like the best part of me is the fun, crazy guy, but that also can be the worst part of me because when I start believing that bull, that's when it gets dangerous, right? And I have good people that'll say, no, that's not you. Calm it down, fella.
Somebody early when I started the company said, don't read your press clippings. Like,
I love that.
Don't read the good stuff because there's always something around the corner that's going to screw you.
Darren, if you were to split yourself into a ratio between emotion and logic, what would the ratio be?
90% logic, which is a strength and a weakness. I mean,
Yeah.
I've really had to work on it because if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have said the feelings part is weak and it's not. EQ. You mentioned EQ. It's that. So I've really had to morph into, yes, that's how I'm built, but the feelings part, and we've done a really good job now. We do a self-assessment or assessment with all our team members.
Which assessment do you use?
Diverse. And when I say diverse, I mean in all the ways you would think, but also who we are. We need some feelings-oriented people. We need some rational people.
Which assessment do you use?
We have to have it. We use one called SDI, but there's like
SDI.
Yeah, there's
a couple of them.
30
Yeah,
good ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
How
about you?
I've had a few STDs, but I don't know if that's the same assessment, right?
Yeah, the penicillin will clear that right up, bro.
Yeah.
For the most part.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I just IV drip fixes it.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy. So do you guys, is that one of your mandatory pre-screening tools before hiring anyone or no?
No, we try not to use it pre-screening. We use another one for pre-screening, just kind of base level stuff. It's more to say, all right, who are you and how do you fit in? And then what it does, it gives us a common language. We can go, oh, you're a blue, you're a little more people focused. That's helpful. I know that. Now I kind of know common language, but you need the whole set, right? I mean, a healthy team, we really focus on this. And this is why you and I, the three of us, get along. I think what sets us apart, and I didn't think it when I started the company. I thought everybody did this. I really did. I've read about it in books. Like it's not rocket science. Is I we I hire people to be opinionated, effective, debate, and I think my housekeeper may be here. So if you hear something downstairs, but let's debate. Let's have honest, authentic debating. And then the best idea, the marketplace of idea, it rises to the top. I don't know all the answers. I want to hire a bunch of smart people. We're going to chop it up. And through that process, we're going to get to something very smart and very important. And what's tough, and I actually had a VP that finally had the courage to tell me this. Thank God, right? She said, Darren, people don't believe you when you say that. You hire them and you say it, but they don't really believe that you're going to let somebody disagree with the president in the same room, no matter who they are. She says, I believe you now. I've been here long enough that you mean
Yeah, they got to
it.
see it to believe it because it's very,
Yeah.
it's
She
not
was the one that
norm.
said, the new person, they hear it and they go, that sounds awesome, but I don't really believe it. And that was really illuminating because I asked her, I said, is there a way to speed that up? Because I'm not very
Yeah.
patient. Like, I don't want to wait 6 months. And she said, no, there's not.
Yeah, you can't
'Cause
force it.
they need to see that somebody disagreed with you and the guillotine didn't come out. And then they go, man, did you see that? Like his team was like, Darren, that's not a great idea. We do it respectfully. And then they see that I'm like, oh, you may be right, or show me why. And then people really buy in. And so that emotional kind of logical thing, the first thing we do when we hire people is say, we value your opinion. You got to share it. Doesn't mean we're going to agree every time at all.
Yeah.
But you've always
Yeah.
got a voice. I think that's the powerful
Yes.
piece too. And I
You
try
got
to
a
do that in my
voice.
leadership is I want to hear all of it. And I stole it from Elon or Bezos. I can't remember which, but in their large leadership team meetings, the top dog always speaks last because if you say what your opinion is first,
That's
you're going to
right.
influence the
Totally.
answers. Even if
You just
even
yeah.
in strong leadership,
Trump the room.
groups,
You bet.
they're gonna say what you want to hear because they're not stupid, right? And so speaking last, leaders eat last, leaders speak
Yes.
last, and encourage people to no idea is a bad idea and to have fun with it and throw it out. And that creative vibe gets flowing. And when people really believe it, you see it in your leadership style in your company and probably Pat in yours. That's the value. That's the special sauce, right?
Guys,
Think
I know
about
we're getting long, so I'll follow your lead. But one thing that's been really joyful for me, we turned 14 this year. I have less, I try to, people think when you're at the top, you have all the power. And the irony is the higher up you get, you have less power than you ever had before.
Totally.
I think about this. When you're a manager, this really is powerful. You're a property manager. If you want something done differently at the property that day, you can go walk over, see it, and make sure it was done. Like you have
correct.
immediacy. If you're a
Yes.
regional, now you're a step up, you're going to get to that property once a week or once every 2 weeks. You're going to say, do this, but you don't really know if they did it. You're going to come back in 2 weeks, you're going to check it. So you actually have less controllable power than the manager. Then you're the VP. You're going to get to that property every month. You're going to say, I want this, and great. And when I'm back here next month, I'm going to make sure it was done or send me a picture. But really, you don't really know if it was done until you get back. And then you get to these higher levels, you may not know for a quarter. And it can be very frustrating for control freaks to be like, I don't know if this was done and I wanted it
You have to
done.
have trust. You got to
do.
trust that it's being done without
100%.
verification in a lot of cases.
You do. And it has been freeing for me because today I have less true control over Portico than I've ever had in my life. And guys, not only is it wonderful, it's freeing. My whole role has changed. I tell people, they ask all the time. The number one question I get is they say, Darren, we really love the culture here. We've seen bigger companies lose that culture of who they are. You hear that everywhere, not just multifamily. How are we going to keep our culture and who we are as we grow? And Phil, my answer every time is, great question. How are we going to do that?
Yeah,
Because you
you
are
tell
part of
me. Yeah, guess what? It's you.
I'm not, Moses coming out with
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what are we going to do about it? How will we do it? And ultimately, how do we make sure that culture is the through point? And my job has changed. I now am like bumpers on a bowling alley. I'm not going to, there's the goal. We got to knock these 10 pins down. A lot of ways to do it. You can spin it. You can go left to right, right to left, slow, fast. You guys pick. I'm going to try to keep you out of the gutters, and we're going to see if we can get there. But my job's not to tell us how to get there. You're going to get us there. I'm going to give you everything you need. Here's the ball. Here's the gutter. Go at it. And I'm just gently nudging now. And you know what? It's been the best part of my life because
I love it.
Portico's not me anymore. It's us collectively.
So cool.
That's actually pretty lovely.
How did you know that culture was going to help you scale? Having the right culture was going to help you scale the company. How did you know? At which point in your business did you say, you know what? If I get the culture right, we're going to be good.
You know,
And how do you know? How did you know it's culture? How did you look? Every Tom, Dick, and Harry would think profit margins or think the right product or the right investor, or you went straight to culture. And I agree with it.
The answer is going to sound dorky, but it's true. I mean, you want truth, and it's right here. I read one of the books that everybody in the world has read. I don't know anybody that has not read this book.
There you go. Put the right seats. Put the right butts in the seats. That's
Guys,
it.
this was the book you get in college. You read it. I thought I've never met anybody that hasn't read it. And everything I read in it made such sense, like such logical, like, of course, this is how you would do it. Is Patrick, I didn't know any other way. This seems so interesting and smart and obvious to me that when I started working and leading people, I'm like, this is what we're going to do. I had them. And what's surprising is I just assumed everybody's read it. We're doing it. What I found is not everybody's doing it because sometimes it can seem too esoteric, right? It's not always measurable, or it's too touchy-feely. But that honest is I read that and said, well, of course, God, that makes sense. And so let's go do it that way. I didn't know everybody else wasn't doing it. So I guess you could almost say I'm an idiot for just believing what I read. It seemed reasonable, and we've done it. And the good news is your people will tell you when you misstep. They will. If you have the right culture, they will. And if not, they'll tell you by leaving, right? That's the vote that they'll be. Can you attract good people? Will they stay? And can you build that? And if not, people are voting with their feet all the time. Are they going to stay or are they going to go? And I always laugh when people say, they stole this person from me. They didn't steal them. You let them go, bro.
That's right. You lost them.
It's your job. My job. If people are unhappy here and want to leave, that's on us, right? We wasn't the right fit. So if somebody steals one of my people, the first thing I do is hug them. I swear to God. You ask anybody, I say, is this a better opportunity for you? If so, amazing and good luck. And
no bad blood. Like that's the key. Cause I look at it too from the client side. Like two things I'll share is if I lose a client to somebody, it's because I wasn't working hard enough to keep them. They're not out there doing something better than I was, other than beating me at my game. I didn't do enough to keep them. And so I don't feel ill will. I'm great. I'll get them back. I'll go fix or improve, and hopefully I'll get another opportunity. The other thing too, it's really cool about that book and you speaking about the logic of it and talking about culture. I'm reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius right now, or listening to it.
Going old school.
Right.
Correct.
And because,
you know,
it's incredible. And the flavor of it, as you guys know, is there's nothing new to be created. We've all seen it, done it. It's all out there in the past. Everything that we're doing has been done. And if you look at culture, of course, great culture breeds success in business, in politics, in life, in relationships. If you have a positive culture in your family, you're going to have a great relationship. Duh. Build a good culture, build it, and they will come. The business will succeed. Now, if you want to build a $10 billion industry, you might sacrifice culture and ethics, or whatever else, like some moral high ground stuff to build the better mousetrap, or to take more profit, because you're gonna, if you're a pharmaceutical company doing bad stuff like the opioid deal, the Purdue Pharma thing, that's where culture gets degraded, because someone has a target number and they can't get there as quick as they'd like. That's ego. But if you just focus on your culture, man, you're gonna have a world-class company. And it's going to be a success. Depends on what you define that success.
I'm glad you said that. I get embarrassed when people ask me, because I'm like, God, it's so simple. Like, it's not new ideas. I've never said something like this, and people, they don't say, God, you blew my mind. Like, this is stuff that people have known for centuries.
Wow, what? You mean if you hire really great people and treat them well, the company does good? What? Oh, holy, write that down somewhere. You should write a book, Darren.
Yeah. My book would be short. It would be It'd be a list of all the books you should go read.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love it.
Well, look, I don't want to keep going. We're on an hour and a half. This is officially the longest podcast of all time. And I really appreciate that. I understand that the three of us are close friends and we do genuinely get along, but we do want to respect the viewers and the listeners as well.
We could
three
bore
of
the
you.
shit out of people for a long
Yeah.
time. It's true.
All three of our
Darren-
loyal listeners, thank you for being on.
Darren, are you coming to Dallas for the BTR conference?
Yes.
Okay, so let's organize a face-to-face, another episode. We'll do a face-to-face at my house or somewhere, and
There you
then
go.
we can make something happen. Okay, I think it's pretty cool.
It's done. Well, let me just thank you both. I know both of you personally, one a longer time and one you guys are both really good dudes, authentic, caring, interesting. I appreciate you doing this. I'm going to watch more of them. I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate you making me feel very comfortable. An hour and a half felt like nothing. So thank you guys for having a pretty good Friday afternoon.
I appreciate you jumping on the podcast, bro. It's an absolute honor to have you 100%. It was a really blast of an episode. To all the listeners, thank you so much. And we're going to catch you on another episode of Between Two Hats.